Welcome back to another jam-packed episode of Stay Tuned, where we do the research for movies and TV so you don't have to. So, in this week's episode, we're going to be covering projects that are coming out for the month of November, and there's quite a bit that we have on the docket. I'm your host, Daniel de Sangre.
I am not your host, Jose Ramos. There's going to be a lot of movies this month, not too much in the TV show realm. Uh, these are the ones that stood out the most. So there might be some things that we miss. And if we did, make sure you put it down in the comments and bring our attention to it. So starting off on the third, right off the bat, we are getting in the movie theaters Priscilla. Uh, so this is directed by Sofia Coppola. One of her biggest projects that many people know was Lost in Translation. It stars Kaylee Spiney. Don't know exactly how to pronounce that last name. I'm gonna go with Spiney. It looks like a
Yeah.
Spiney. And Jacob Elordi. So basically, the story revolves around a young Priscilla Presley meeting rock star Elvis Presley. They get together and she begins to discover who Elvis is beyond the stardom. It's actually based off of Priscilla Presley's 1985 memoir. It was called Elvis and Me. So they actually took that and now they made it into the movie. Uh, what were your thoughts when you saw the trailer?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Sofia Coppola. I like her work. I love Lost in Translation. I'm a huge fan of that one. It feels like, okay, I know we just had the Elvis movie that came out with Austin Butler. Now this one's coming out. It's like, okay, do we really need this? I don't know, but it's interesting that they're focusing on Priscilla. It looks pretty there's a lot of creativeness to the shots already, what I see from the trailer. I'll probably give it a shot. I did see someone that tweeted about it that I guess they had already seen the movie. I guess they had seen a screener. They said Austin Butler was in character for 3 years, to the point where he was playing this Elvis character, and then this guy does in a 1 year and just kicks his butt in the performance. It's like, I don't know how accurate that is or not. It made me chuckle because you know how sometimes you have some actors that go really method with it, where they live the part for like several years. Austin Butler, it seems like even when he's in interviews now, he still has a little bit of it, and he's mentioned he's having a difficult time trying to lose that accent, but it looks pretty good so far. I mean, I'll give it a shot, definitely streaming. How about you?
It's funny because one of the first things that popped in my head because the other Butler's movie came out in 22, and now I have this one coming out in 23. So it's only a year apart. And that seems to happen a lot in Hollywood. You get things that are similar in droves within like a year span, 2 year span of each other. So the first thing I thought I was like, we're gonna get a lot of comparing of their performances because they're so close together. So it is funny that you say that. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've never had an interest in Elvis's story. So most of the movies revolving around him have never interested me. I never watched the Butler one. I just had no, not that I thought it looked bad. I just had no interest in that story at all. So I'm probably not watching this at all, even when it comes to streaming, because it just doesn't appeal to me personally. That being said, um, there there looks like to there looks like there's potential there for really good drama. So we know Sofia Coppola is very talented, so I'm sure on the director side of things, everything's going to be visually stunning. It's going to be very directed well. It looks like the acting was on par where it should be, at least what we got from the trailer. So I do think it's going to be good, and it's probably going to pull a fandom in there. And you're probably going to get the Butlers versus Jacob side of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, personally, I probably won't be watching it unless it comes out that this is one of the best movies ever. And then, as someone who loves movies, I'll have to check it out. Going into the next weekend, it's going to be a busy weekend, the weekend of the 10th. First, for movies, we have The Marvels coming out to theaters on 11/10. This is being directed by Nia DaCosta. She was the writer on the Candyman reboot. So I think that's the
Hmm.
only thing I'm familiar with her about, and she wrote that one. And the reboot wasn't too bad. Could have been better third act, but overall wasn't bad. It stars Brie Larson, Iman Vellani. She played Miss Marvel in the TV show, and Teyana Paris, she played Monica Rambeau in multiple projects within the MCU. So they are the Marvels. Basically, there's like some destabilization in the universe. Uh, Captain Marvel, one of her missions sends her through a wormhole, which then causes her powers to be entangled with both Monica and Miss Marvel. So basically, as we can see in the trailer, when one of them uses their abilities, it causes them to basically teleport and swap places with the other person. Uh, so that's I find the dynamic pretty interesting. Just seeing one in the middle of a battle while another one's having dinner. She uses her power. All of a sudden, you go from eating, your favorite pizza slice into now you got to fight like 20 people. So I, I like the concept, but overall, what are your thoughts from what you've heard and the trailer?
Yeah, the concept, like you said, is interesting. We haven't seen anything like that yet. It's sort of like a Freaky Friday, a little bit with superheroes. It's an interesting concept. Now, having said that, Marvel's been kind of on a cold streak lately. Like everything they put out, at least for the last two projects, hasn't really hit as much. It feels like it's been a little bit of a step back. The question is this the one that they bounce up? Do we have reliance on it? The first Captain Marvel movie, I know we both didn't really enjoy it that much. There was some not the best way to represent Marvel movies, and this one seems kind of in line with that a little bit. So I'm hoping they keep selling that it's going to be fun, it's going to be bouncy. My first instinct is no, but I watch all Marvel projects anyway, so I'm going to end up watching it. I'm really don't think I'm going to go to theaters to watch it. I'll probably end up watching it on streaming. How about you?
Yeah, I watched Captain Marvel in the theater and was slightly disappointed. So I still have that taste in my mouth, so I probably won't be watching this one in the theater. As an MCU fan, just a comic book fan, I will be watching it. I'll probably watch it once it gets to Disney Plus. On the plus end of this is they're saying that this is going to be the shortest MCU movie, running at about 90 minutes during a time where everything is just trying to push to as close to 3 hours as possible. That's a good sign right there. So that means that there's probably isn't a lot of bloat within this movie. Um, even though this one seems like a contrast to the first one seemed to take itself very serious. Well, this one seems like you mentioned to be leaning more towards comedy, more uppity. It's good to see Captain Marvel being a little lighter in this one, at least in the trailer. Uh, a lot lighter than the personality void that she's been in the MCU so far. So once it goes to Disney Plus, I'll probably check it out day one of streaming, but I won't be going to the theater mainly because of my experience with the original, which wasn't very good.
That's fair. And I know Miss Marvel, I don't know if you saw the show. I ended up watching it. Again, I believe I mentioned on our podcast that I wasn't necessarily the target audience for it, but I appreciated what they did with it. The actress that plays Miss Marvel, she played it very well. She had like the spunky, fun energy. And with her being in this one, maybe it's a nice dynamic that we'll see with Brie Larson's character, and maybe there'll be a nice, kind of buddy cop comedy aspect to this.
I hope so. I want it to succeed. I want it to do well. Especially if these characters are going to remain within the MCU. We want them to do well so other projects could then flourish from it. So hopefully we will see. Moving on, the next one. Let's go on to streaming on Netflix on the 10th. We also have The Killer coming out. This is directed by David Fincher. We don't need to name his projects because it's David frickin' Fincher. It stars Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton, which we've had conversations how much we love Tilda. Uh, you don't get much from the trailer, but kind of what I got out of it from the description of the trailer is it's a trip into the mind of a like methodical cold killer and his attempt to stay in control. And you see that in the trailer as he's like repeating these phrases to himself to kind of keep himself in check. Uh, so I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts?
Yes, Fincher. I watch all movies that come out that are directed by David Fincher. You know, again, we're not going to get into his catalog, but the guy is one of the best current directors right now that we're getting in terms of still giving us quality content. I feel like he's one of the more consistent directors right now. It's very stylized, even the coloring, the editing, the shot angles. It feels very Fincher-like. And then Fassbender, I'm a huge fan of Michael Fassbender. And then we talked about Tilda. So even just the pairing of them with David Fincher, I'm already sold. The fact that you tie into a serial killer, it looks like, or mass murder of some kind, but we know it's a killer, that's already fascinating. So it has me hooked. I like the fact that they're not giving us too much detail because that in itself is already Tilda Fassbender Fincher. I'm already hooked. Just give me enough to keep me excited. And the fact that it's on Netflix, I'll definitely be checking out that opening weekend.
And that's true. You make a really good point. When you have these names, these trusted names behind it that you know come with quality, you can give us a teaser like this without giving us much, and you already have my attention. So all you have to do is just tease me a little bit. So I'm already in there. All right. So that's the advantage of being a David Fincher and having, big actors in this is you don't have to reveal too much about your story. Like, we're already in the seats.
Yeah,
Uh
in that case, we're already in bed. Just tuck us in. Just tuck us
yeah,
in. That's it.
exactly. Make sure my feet don't get cold because I'm already in here. That's it.
That's it.
But it looks like it's going to be a very psychological movie. And we know what we can get from Fincher when he goes into those psychological aspects. I mean, he's made some of my favorite movies. He's right up there for me with Nolan. That if you're a part of it, I'm watching it no matter what. You've earned that confidence with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to Netflix, so everyone, well, not everyone anymore, since Netflix has been cracking down. A lot of people will have access to it day one without having to leave their home.
Yes.
Going on that same weekend, we have our first like major series that's coming out. This is going to be The Curse, and it's going to be on Paramount Plus. It's a Showtime show. This is actually an A24 show. And so it's directed by Nathan Fielder and Nathan Selner. And I think David Selner is also involved in it too. It stars Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone. Now, you don't get too much from the trailer. They don't really give you too much. But basically it revolves around a newly married couple and how they are affected by an alleged curse. That's what we got from it so far. Uh, I know even though the trailer didn't give me much, I like Emma Stone. I feel like I haven't seen anything from Emma in a long time. And I think not too long ago I was having a conversation. I was like, what has Emma Stone been doing? Like, we need another movie from her because she usually delivers in everything that she's in. And I know that other project that she was gonna do, I can't remember the name of it, but that got delayed. So we're not getting that anytime soon, that other movie. Uh, so I'm intrigued. You've got my attention. I'll check it out for sure, and mainly because I need a new comedy in my docket. We don't get too many comedy shows. We've mentioned this plenty of times. So whenever I can insert a comedy show for those nights that I just want to laugh, hopefully this can give it to me. So I'll be checking it out on the first day.
Yeah, I definitely will as well. It's A24, so I'm already interested. A24 is one of those rare studios that are still putting out, that are still putting out content that's still pretty consistent. So I like that that they kind of take their time with these projects. Like you said, Emma Stone. I really appreciate what Emma Stone did because she was coming out with a lot of projects. And when Jennifer Lawrence went through that, where it kind of felt a little bit like an oversaturation. So they purposely step back and then they kind of take a little break and then they come back and they start taking their time releasing certain projects that they want to. Emma Stone feels like she's doing that. This one also has Benny Safdie that's attached to this, which I'm a fan of. So yes, I put down and I underlined yes with the explanation point for the curse. I'm absolutely going to watch this. This sounds like something that's in my wheelhouse. It has that quirky, dark comedy humor that I'm totally a fan of. And then they surrounded it with top talent people, like, really well talent. And again, it's A24. So I'm imagining it's a limited series. I know it's a television show, but like I don't see Emma Stone doing several seasons of this. So if it's a limited series, that's always exciting because your characters can always die at the end, or something dramatic can change that takes us completely out of the world because we're never going to come back to it. So I'm in.
That's a good point. Yeah, when you do a limited series, it definitely opens more doors of possibilities. So as a viewer, I feel you're more invested in with everything because where is the story going to go? Because it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You know, when you have multiple seasons, there's safe characters, and everyone knows. I mean, unless it's like Game of Thrones, or something like that, there's safe characters in most average shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, Actually, I almost forgot. There is one more movie coming out on the 10th. This one's coming out to theater, and this is It's a Wonderful Knife.
Yes.
Theater, directed by Tyler McIntyre. One of the things I know he did, he was one of the directors on VHS 99.
Mm.
I'll have to revisit that to see his project. I don't remember which one he was on. But it stars Jane with what? Widop Widop or Widum. I don't know her name. Just the main character. Jane W. The
Jane
Dub.
W.
Jane
There you
Dub.
go.
Jane
Jane
Dub.
Dub. Jane Dub.
Yeah. And then for the second month in a row, we got Justin Long. It's funny because we were saying not too long ago it was how much we feel Justin Long is underappreciated, and we should get more from Justin Long. And look at that, we had Goosebumps last month, and now we have Wonderful Knife. Two horror movies, well, a show and a movie back to back months. Give us more Justin Long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
yeah,
When I heard the title, I chuckled, and because I didn't know anything about it before we watched it, and I was like, this is gonna be so dumb. Like, I'm not gonna watch this. Then I saw the trailer and immediately saw Justin Long in it, and I was like, I'm sold because I love Justin Long. Justin Long specifically in horror movies is so perfect because he adds the comedy that it on those scenes that, horror movies will typically ask for some form of comedy. And oftentimes they don't deliver. Either the actors are more horror than they are comedy, so it doesn't quite sell it. Justin Long is so perfect for horror movies because he understands that comedy. He understands what he needs to do. And again, reference one of our old episodes where we go into detail about why Justin Long is so awesome, because he is. But I saw it and I was like, okay, we need more Christmas horror movies. That's not being sarcastic. We need more of these. These are awesome. The villain kind of has like, it looks like a white scream, like a white ghost face almost. Like it looked kind of like that. But then even has Joel McHale in it, which kind of made me chuckle. So I'm
yeah.
like, you know what? Yes, I'm in. You got me. Yes.
Yeah, no, and it's true. And uh, you know, for those who haven't seen the trailer or anything, basically it's the storyline is a girl saves the town by by taking out a psychotic killer. And comes out that that killer, when she reveals him, is Justin Long, the mayor of the town. But like, after making the holiday mistake that so many people do in wishing that you were never born, she gets put into a parallel world where she was never born, so meaning she never killed the killer. So the town is being ravaged by this psychotic killer, and now she has to try to stop him again to revert everything back. Very simple concept, but it looks very fun, kind of like in the realm of like Happy Death Day or what is it, Freak, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's leaning very much towards the comedy on top of like the horror. And I feel that works with holiday movies, with Christmas movies especially. I mean, we've had Krampus and they throw in the comedy because Christmas is about, uplifting and cheer and singing. So you can't always go straight horror. That's just too much of a drastic jump. You got to go horror mix in with a little bit of comedy to make it work for a Christmas movie, in my opinion.
A
So
chef's kiss. Perfect combination.
exactly. That being said, it looks fun. I'm always down for holiday horror movies in general, so I'm gonna be checking this out. I will be in the theater for this one. Uh, Give me some of this and any other Christmas movies you want to throw out, for the rest of the year or next year, whatever it is. I'm in. I'm down. as
Yes.
long as Justin is in it, we're watching.
Yes. Exactly, man. I will watch any horror that Justin Long is in. Any horror.
All right, that being said, let's go on to the next week. Speaking of holiday horror movies, we have Thanksgiving coming out on the 17th to theaters. This is directed by Eli Roth, who you may know from things such as Hostel. It stars Addison Rae. I think she's a TikToker, right? Is a YouTuber
Yeah.
or a TikToker?
I think they even get blurred sometimes because they upload stuff
Yeah,
on YouTube and yeah, I don't know. She's an
yeah,
influencer.
yeah. She's a YouTuber, TikToker, Instagrammer, Xer, Snapchatter, everything
All of it.
all in one. So this is actually based off of the fake trailer that Eli Roth made for the Grindhouse series. So now we're getting the full version of that trailer because people they liked that trailer. It was a little snippet. People liked it. Eli Roth, he remembered, I guess. They've come together and they've given us a full movie based off of that one little trailer. Where basically, to keep it simple, you have someone dressed as a pilgrim, just terrorizing and killing a bunch of people on Thanksgiving in very Thanksgiving ways. You know, as you see it.
Yeah.
When you see in the trailer that he's oven baking someone like a turkey, and he's using uh Thanksgiving cooking utensils to kill people, it's like, all right, I know what kind of movies this is going to be. It's going to be pure fun. They're not half-assing this, Dan. They're like
No.
Thanksgiving killing movie. This is going to be a Thanksgiving. We are jumping all in, balls deep, all the way
Yes.
inside, opening it up, jumping in there, no holding back. And because of that, I am there
It's
for
the
sure.
full stuffing of Thanksgiving full. They even came back for seconds. That's how much they're giving it to us.
This is not going to be a dry turkey. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's not, man. I think you know what? We talked about this before, but like, there's not one quintessential Thanksgiving horror movie, right? Like we've had, Christmas. You can argue, obviously, Halloween and whatnot. They even have like Valentine's Day and stuff, but they haven't done a Thanksgiving one to this level that's been successful outside of like B or C level horror movies. So I love the fact that Eli Roth is like, this will be the one. I'm just curious why it took so long because we saw this with Grindhouse. I know that they've rumored about it for a while. Why did it take this long? You know?
I mean, maybe because they did that short trailer just in, tongue in cheek, like, hey,
Yeah,
check this out. They probably never had a full movie
sure.
plan ahead. So it probably took time to be like, okay, how do we convert this into a long, entertaining
Hmm.
movie overall that can stand on its own beyond the trailer? But me, it's true. Thanksgiving as a whole is neglected. As soon as Halloween ends, you see the Christmas decorations come out. You see people to start putting Christmas songs right there on November 1st. The disrespect to the national eating holiday that is Thanksgiving is unbearable. So it makes sense that we haven't gotten Thanksgiving horror movies, but Eli Roth is about to change that. And this looks like it's going to be just brutal. And with Eli Roth behind it, you have to expect that it's going to be gory and graphic. So if you don't like gory and graphic, this is probably not the movie for you to check out because that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thanksgiving is always one of my favorite holidays. I feel like it's an under-respected holiday, because you have a lot of family gets together and it's all day of football. But there's always that one football game that's just so agonizingly boring. It's usually the Bears playing or somebody like that. So this could be a tradition of playing the movie during that football game. You get the family together and we all get to watch Thanksgiving together. So hopefully it hits and it delivers because I really hope it is, man. It'd be nice to have the quintessential Thanksgiving horror movie.
I really wanted to hit. I watch Krampus every holiday. I want this to be my Thanksgiving movie.
Hmm.
So for 3 months in a row, I have movies for those months.
Good. Good.
All right. Also coming out that same weekend to theaters, we have Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is directed by Francis Lawrence. He did all the previous Hunger Games, I believe, or at least most of them. It stars Rachel Zegler, Hunter Schafer, Peter Dinklage, aka Tyrion, and the ma'am herself, Viola Davis.
That's right. That's
Uh,
right.
yeah. So this is a prequel to the Hunger Games series that we saw with Jennifer Lawrence. It follows Cornelius Snow, and I think he was the president in
Yeah,
the originals, wasn't he?
yeah. It
Yeah,
was
of
Donald
Panem.
Sutherland. Yeah, it was a Donald
Yeah.
Sutherland character.
So it follows him. Of course, he's young, and he's assigned to mentor this young woman from one of the districts. So that's kind of what it revolves around. I guess maybe we'll see why he turns into that basically dictator that we see within the other
Hmm.
series. Uh Look, I watched the Hunger Games movie. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't think that they were bad. It's just not my cup of tea. Um, I watched them once, only once, never had a desire to watch them again. So much of what happened in them, I forgot already. So I don't see myself seeing this until it's on streaming and I got nothing else to watch. I might check it out. How do you feel about it?
I think I'm a little more excited about it in terms of when I saw the trailer, I saw Viola Davis and Peter Dinklage, and it looked really interesting to me. So the movie behind it, the production, the shots, the coloring, it looks darker to me. Now, I don't know if they just cut the trailer for that because, like you said, with the original Hunger Game trilogy or four, I guess franchise, right? Because there's four movies of them. They went it seemed like it came around the Twilight era. So it seemed like the target audience was more of that. And I remember reading the Hunger Game books after I had watched Battle Royale. So that kind of ruined it for me because Battle Royale was like the original version of Hunger Games. And it's so much darker and real and, more adult themed and more horrific. These ones seemed more lighthearted. And again, it felt kind of Twilight-ish where, will they, won't they? And, Katniss is in a love triangle. So when you end up watching the movies, it's like it felt kind of like that. It felt kind of safe in a certain world. And even though there was a deadly game being played of the characters, you didn't necessarily feel like the main characters were going to die. In this one, it seems darker, so I definitely will watch it. Like you said, I'll probably wait for streaming most likely on this because I'm not like running to the theater to go watch this. But I'm really curious to hear what the word of mouth is because Viola Davis, like we said, is like the queen. And I like to think she's selective about the project she takes on, as well as Peter Dinklage. I know they're going to bring it in terms of great acting. So I'm curious to see how this movie goes. So I'll
That's
watch it.
true. That mainly those two are the reason why I would
Hmm.
check it out on streaming. But you bring up a good point. During that time frame when that came out, um, teenage angst was the thing. We had this one, we had Twilight, we had the Divergent series like around that
Hmm.
time. A lot of movies that came out of all different genres just like focus on the teenage angst aspect of things. And kind of like you, I had seen Battle Royale before I saw this one. So I remember watching it and I'm like, okay, for something where you're supposed to have all these people trying to like end each other, you're not really showing much. Like I'm not seeing the stakes on the screen. I saw Battle Royale, I saw the stakes on the screen. So I think that kind of turned it off for me. And maybe if I hadn't seen Battle Royale beforehand, maybe I would have liked this one more. Coming out that same weekend, we have Trolls Band Together, directed by Walt Dorn. This stars Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick. They were in the other two movies. Uh, Basically, Anna Kendrick's character, Poppy, finds out that Justin's character, Branch, was part of her favorite boy band with his brothers. And one of those brothers gets kidnapped, and they have to rescue him while Branch is also trying to reconcile his relationship with those brothers who had left them as, a young troll, I guess. So what are your thoughts on this one?
It seems like I guess it's good for the franchise and for the people that are fans of this franchise. Having said that, I lived my life having not seen any of these, and I don't plan on making this one the exception. So I'm good. I don't feel like I'm missing much. I don't hear people really clamoring for it. I know that NSYNC is getting back together to do music for this, so I know that's going to bring a lot more attention and interest to this. So maybe the music will hit, and we'll probably hear it somewhere on the radio or on Instagram or something. So maybe in that regard, maybe we'll hear music that gets stuck in our head and we feel like we need to watch the movie. Who knows? But so far, I haven't seen the franchise, so no.
And since back, all right. No, that's not how it goes. Actually, I have to admit, I watched the first one and I did
Mm,
enjoy the first one.
okay,
It
nice.
was a good, it was
Yeah.
a nice movie.
Hmm.
It wasn't nothing to write home around. It was not Pixar level of storytelling or anything like that. It was just a nice movie with some good songs. It was period one of the ones you put in where you're just like, you know what? I want something happy on the screen. This
Hmm.
is that movie. I don't remember much of the second one. The first one I enjoyed. I'll probably check this out. One of those nights where it was like, I want something light. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to think too much. I don't want anything crazy. Just give me something light I can enjoy. I'll probably throw this on in that situation.
That makes sense because I know when the first one came out, it was around the time that movie Sing came out, right? Which was about the competition. Sing
I
is
like Sing too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I saw Sing, that one I remember. So they came around the same time, and Sing's just the one that I remember. They had good hits, man. They had good songs on
Yeah.
that one. So
Yeah, I remember jamming out with it. The
yeah,
gorilla when he was like playing
yeah,
the
that
Elton
one.
John. I was like,
Yes,
yeah, you're still standing.
dude. Every time I hear that song, I think of that movie. Now I'm still
Yeah.
standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a sucker for good renditions of songs.
Hmm.
So when you have a show like that, I mean, a movie like that, or even, when you have certain competition shows where they do different renditions, I'm a sucker for it. That's
Me too.
one of my guilty pleasures.
Me
So,
too.
okay, and then lastly, we have a TV series coming out that month. This is going to be it's a shorter month for content because we do have the holidays and nothing really comes out around that time. Uh, so we have Monarch, the Legacy of Monsters, coming out on the 17th. It's going to be coming out on Apple TV. It stars Anna Sawai. Probably butchered that last name, but we're going to go with it. Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell,
Whoop whoop.
the Russells together.
Yeah.
Uh, so this takes place after the battle between Godzilla and the Titans. So now the world knows about the monsters and it knows that the monsters are real, and it follows a family's journey of discovering uh, basically the family's ties to the secretive monster hunting organization that's Monarch that we've seen throughout all the movies. So in a way, we're kind of going to take a deeper look into Mark and itself, the organizations, maybe seeing how it came to be, more of the inner structure of it. So it'll be interesting to see that aspect. I feel like it's going to be one of those shows. Many people are going to be disappointed because they're going to be expecting monster battles every single episode. And I don't think that's what we're going to get. I think in this series, the monsters are going to be very background. We're going to see them maybe towards the later episodes, but I think there's going to be a lot about the human interaction, the organization, what they're doing, and then here and there we might see the monsters in the background or them getting stuck in a situation, but the focus will not be on the monsters. And I think a lot of people are going to think that this is going to be like watching a Godzilla movie and they're going to be disappointed.
That's a good point. It also has John Goodman in it that I saw like very briefly in the trailer,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, yeah, like you said, Kurt Russell, huge fan of Kurt Russell. Wyatt Russell, I like him so far. I want to see him do more. The fact that he's in it with his dad, like that's pretty cool. I think he's playing the young version of him, right? He's not playing one of his sons. I think he's playing the young version of
I
him.
don't know.
I
That's a good
thought I
question.
read that. I thought I read that, but I know that it about two sons, so maybe he is playing. Maybe they changed it, but it's interesting, man. Like what you said, you hit on a good point that budget wise, it would be so expensive to have monster fights all the time, which would make me imagine that they're not going to be in it a tremendous amount. It's very creative that you're putting a lot of idea or a lot of attention to the human characters because those were always the ones that were underdeveloped when you had these monster Godzilla movies. So that is interesting. The fact that you're finally tackling that for at least us American audience. So it's interesting, man. It's one of those ones that I think I'll get to it. I like the actors that are in it, so I'll give it a shot. I don't know all the other ones I have more higher up on my list, but I'll definitely give this one a shot, man. It looks good. The visual effects look pretty good on it, seeing Godzilla and stuff. Like, I want to really like a Godzilla movie. Like, I desperately want to really love a Godzilla movie that comes out, so hopefully this one will be pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I think I will check this out day one. Mainly because I like the people in it. And two, I have to say, um, Apple TV has done a good job of quality over quantity when it comes to
Hmm.
their shows. They're not releasing, 40 shows a week like Netflix is, and then you find like one gem every like month or so. They release at a much short, longer pace, but the stuff that they've come out has been quality. So that bodes well for this show. The way, based on my experience with past shows, the way I see this happen, we're probably going to get a big set piece in the first episode just to kind of catch people's attention. Maybe we see the battle with Godzilla and the Titans that leads into the world finding out. We see clips of that. Then we might not see anything for like a few episodes, and into maybe the last two episodes where we see more big set pieces for those budgetary reasons. Because we got to think again, this is a TV show for a streaming service.
If you like what our show Stay Tuned is about, where we preview the upcoming movies and TV, please like, subscribe, comment, share on the YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter at Not a Strong Start. I'm your host, Daniel de Sangre. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I am not your host, Jose Ramos, and you can find me at This Is Mi Nombre on Instagram.
So you can catch us in December and you can watch with us and stay tuned.